Hello, Melicans. Welcome to a new episode of the podcast that is also a newsletter, ants-mourning. This one is titled 3 Unnatural Years, and that is because this is the third anniversary of the podcast, because I started it later, but it's been 3 years of the written version. And also, if you hear strange background noises, that maybe because there's a construction work nearby and it's loud. I'm sorry. It's very annoying. I'll try to clean it on post. Okay, so happy anniversary. If you're one of those people that on June the 18th of 2020 was reading the first issue of ants-mourning titled A, and you're now listening and or reading this issue, well, thank you, super thank you for reading and still reading and for wanting more. What the hell? So yes, thank you from the bottom of my cardiac valve. If you go to the written version of this episode, I found the perfect gift to say happy anniversary. It's a happy anniversary. It's basically a zoom in to the fly of a person who is sliding down their zipper and putting their hand inside it, and when they have a pink flower in their hand and they are offering it to the viewer. So yes, happy anniversary from me and that person. Yes. So what I've been up to, well, I managed to finish my fourth escape reel, which for the uninitiated is the literary challenge created by the author Savannah Brown, and it consists on writing a poem a day for the entirety of April, following the author's prompts. In my case, and also since last year, I write some poems in English and some Spanish, but I don't translate. Usually because I started the first few years doing that, and it was too much work to handle, and yeah. Also, there's a whole Spanish speaking or Spanish writing, let's say, community joining the challenge every year. And if you'd like to have a look at what we write, we can go to Instagram and look for the hashtag Escape Reel Español. Also, if you'd like to you can read everything I've written on April and May, let's be honest, on my Facebook or Instagram. Not on Twitter, because I'm a bit tired of that platform and I haven't shared anything there for months. But you can look me up on Facebook or Instagram, Miriam Navarro Prieto. Also, if you're one of my Patreons, I send a post every week. Not every week, but corresponding with every week of poems, let's say. Yeah. So, since I shared the original Spanish version of one of my April 2020 poem section of this episode, I'm making an exception and translating it to English so I can read it for you now. The prompt was "the horror" with an exclamation point, and the title is the exact same of an article I found on a platform named The Objective, and you'll have to take my word for it because I'm not sending any traffic their way, because they are not cool people. I was looking for info on the rise of the hunting of wolves, and I found this article that basically says, if the wolves kill our sheep, we have the right to kill the wolves. Them being endangered and us enjoying the fuck out of the hunt are facts of no consequence in this. Yeah, that was the vibe of the article. Also, there's a mention of the Popular Party on the title. That's let's say the classic conservative right-wing Spanish party. Yeah, so let me read. The People's Party warns of the growth of wolf packs in Castile and Leon. The wolves will come. Soon, the town halls, the capitals, the homes of fireplaces and taxidermy on each office wall, the disinfected mahogany desks, all of it will be wolves' land. The emptied podiums will guard pubs, skulls will roll everywhere, and the new the pact, valid ad infinitum, requires the rendering of a hunter's arm as a daily offering, and the politicians' hearts will only hold gratitude and a revered woe that binds precedent. So I finished writing this poem with a tiny satisfied grin on my face, because it's a pure delight for me to predict horrors that are only horrors for wolves, killer and such two-legged shits. You already know I like writing spells probably at this point, and I recommend everyone writing a curse once in their lifetime at least, because it's oddly comforting. So let me tell you about now. In this section, I talk about the elections we had recently here. So I talk about Valladolid's mayor. So beware, because there will be misogyny, transphobia, the overall foul smell of to be updated software. So beware of that. I didn't mean to talk too much about the elections, but oh, what a hangover. I don't know how the national ones will go, which are in a few weeks, by the way. But here in Valladolid, after 20 years of Leon, now I'm afraid to get in an elevator with a woman, because what if she tears up her clothes and accuses me of assaulting her de la Riva? 20 years of Leon, dos lips, Leire Pagin has make me think of only one thing, de la Riva. 20 years of Leon, a fetus is not a tumor, de la Riva. Leon, whoever wants a sex change or a brain transplant will have to pay for it, de la Riva, or as many local vulva havers better, know him. Leon, he may also be a gynecologist, but keep him the fuck away from my cunt, de la Riva. And Now you may be thinking I'm taking those surnames that's out of context, which I am, but believe me, context doesn't help his case, or I'm exaggerating, but let me tell you, I am not. I shared a list with a list I found with some of the De la Riva's gems. But in case you don't understand Spanish, you can also go to León de la Riva's Wikipedia page in English. If you just go to, you will just at least get the sense of the tip of the iceberg of his bullshit. But yeah, this dude, was our mayor for 20 years. Then we had some time with something better, but improvable. And you think we wouldn't let ourselves be ruled by another righty macho? Nevertheless, here we stand with the right, with a little help of something even worse. And there I'm referring to Vox, which is the far right Spanish party, and regulate what a family is, what a human being is, what a show of cultural interest is, and what a city is. And that could be all, which is not little, but let's not forget that when the power exercises literal or symbolic violence on minorities, people who already had regressive ideas now feel empowered and allowed to also exercise violence. Let's also not forget that if you vote for a right-wing party because they defend traditional values, or because it's better for the economy, you're also voting for a party that would prefer it if people like me didn't exist. Which is a decaf way of saying they would sleep tighter at night if I was dead. Yeah, or they wouldn't lift a brow if I got punched to death on the street. All my fault, of course. And yeah, I'm also not exaggerating here because that happened to gender non-conforming person, I think 3 years ago or so. Yeah. So I don't know how to bookend this rant, so just let me read a translation I did to English from a Txus García poem. He's another unnatural in italics. How do you say that? Well, a natural individual whom I admire. Yeah, there's a couple of notes first before I read the poem. I decided to translate Las Locas as we crazy ones, but it's not exactly the same. Keep in mind that in Spanish, Las Locas is the female form of we, the crazy ones, and it points to a slur used initially toward of being too feminine to be men. It later has been reappropriated by part of the gay community and even by other members of the LGBTQ plus spectrum. And here in this poem, the author uses many of these and other slurs in as a reappropriation. So yeah, beware of that, okay? By Txus García. Beware, we crazy ones come in clusters. We crazy ones bare our claws, and wham, we scratch you on the other cheek. Beware, We crazy ones, we deviants, sissy, faggots, trannies, crooked, ugly, and strange. We hit you with our purse, tread on your values, we scandalize you whole. Beware, we crazy ones invade, have businesses. We are your doctors, teachers, and nuns. We are everywhere. We get married and adopt, spoil your orphan girls. We sell you your breath, kneaded with hands of us, of sin, of AIDS, of night. We rub on you in the subway, we pay your salary, we clean your shirts, we stare at you in the restrooms. Beware, crazy ones, and we are angry. We crazy ones scratched you, hit you, and spit on you. We saw you our cuerpos, we touch your wee phallus, we rub your ideas, we break your molds. Beware. Now we do not fear your dogs, your blood jones, your words, your condemnation, or being prisoner, because we have already been for a long while. Generations of exiles, sentences, prison camps, beatings of blood, pain, tears, cross-dresser, piece of shit, pansy, dyke, unnatural, second-hand, anything we turn you into weirdies without meaning to. Beware, we crazy ones transmit our strength, our courage, our desire to fight and live at last, fearless. I decided to keep that cuerpos as it was originally written, as das POS, because I wasn't sure at all how to translate it. It's a play on words that mixes together the word queer and the word cuerpos, which is the Spanish for bodies. So cuerpos would be something like queer bodies or queerdies, but in Spanish it makes more sense because queer sounds almost like the first syllable in cuerpos. And so, yeah, sounded weird to you is because it was. So I copied this piece from an anthology I recently, from the last secondhand and antique book local fair, and it's a 2011 compilation of gay and lesbian poetry, edited by Luis Daniel Pino, and the title is Blanco Nuclear, Antología de Poesía Gay y Lésbica Última. But Txus García's work can also be found in all the places that are his website, which is at Txusg, that's written txusg.wordpress.com/publicaciones, and there you can see his two poem collections, his articles. One of his poem collections is translated to French, but I think there's no English translation yet. So I learned about Txus's work a few years ago when I went to an event at La Otra Librería Café. That's Valladolid's very own queer, feminist, anti-capitalist haven. I just had to I loved the name of it, even though I didn't know who the artist was. The title of the show was Microshow de Poesía Queer, Mira que señora más rara, mamá. And that would be something like Queer Poetry Microshow, look what a weird lady mom. Microshow, look what a weird lady mom, with an exclamation point at the end. Thank you for going with your gut, past Miriam. So upon taking our seats, the hosts told us not something like this. Txus cannot come out here to such basic looking audience, so they strongly suggested suggested us to apply some liquid glitter to our faces, and they gave us small bowls with it. Once the whole audience was properly anointed with glitter, Txus entered, and I'll always remember his show. If you ever have the chance to see it, just go see it, watch it, because it's incredible. So let's go to the last section, which is about others, and I titled it "Of Rudely Dented Colors." You will see why in a minute. So, if you didn't already know, I enjoy talking about plants, especially the ones that look very cutesy but are very much toxic. And this plant is not only both those things, but also, depending on the floor acidity and the plant's growth stage, colors of the bisexual flag: pink, purple, and blue. And I find that fact very beautiful. I don't know. I release. I don't know how to pronounce that word. I always doubt. So yeah, I get pleasure from let's say their outpour of color and apparent weakness as much as on it. And let me translate here from the Spanish Wikipedia: opposing oval, dented, tip-ended leaves which are between 7 and 20 centimeters long, which is 255 to 7.9 inches long, and beware of this, rudely dented edges. And you don't know how much I love this kind of strange sounding, probably poor translations on Wikipedia. They are so absurd, so dada poetry, you know. And also, this plant, this hydrangea, has an active substance called umbelliferone, which can, in some circumstances, break into hydrogen cyanide, not great from the central nervous system, you know. And I find this lovely. I could write a poem in which someone tries to eat us, hydrangeas, without hiding the symptoms of umbelliferone poisoning that, again, according to the Spanish Wikipedia, the symptoms of poisoning can be severe, even including hemorrhagic diarrhea. But don't worry, it's not deadly for humans. And with that gorgeous, stunning, beautiful image I created in your... thank you! Thank you to the subscribers of this newsletter podcast, and mega thank you to my Patreons, Jorge, Luri. Luri, I'm very sorry, ma'am. I merged your name with my friend's Larry. Let me start again. My Patreons: Jorge, Rufi, Larry, Lucia, Kat Dufo, Katia, Ariadna, Manuel, and Victor, who are the bestest ever. And to join me on Patreon at patreon.com/Miriam Navarro Prieto, if you are able and would like to, for as little as €1 a month, which is $150 a month. You can see more of my poems and drawings. And also there I don't have to appease any nipple-hating algorithm. Like Instagrams, because every time I upload a new drawing, even though I already censored the nipples, they shadow ban me. It's absurd. Well, on Patreon I don't have to censor myself. And there I also share things like audios and videos about my creative process, my drawings and writings archives. And I would especially now if you could subscribe there, because most of the English classes I was teaching are over because people are having vacations, lucky them. And now I'm looking for income sources to ease the summer draft. So yes, thank you. So, haven't you subscribed to this newsletter - podcast yet? You can do so by typing your email address at Square on at tinyletter.com/Miriam-Navarro-Prieto. But remember to wait for the email Tinyletter will send you and click on the confirmation link inside. Also, at the same website, you can check out my previous issues. There's a tiny text that says Read Letter Archive. If you click there, you can see every issue I ever sent. And, well, why not send them, for example, one of my previous issues, like this Grinding Teeth into Palm Trees. I included a fragment written by Briar T. Quinn, and it's very tender, very romantic and Arthurian, so I think that would entice your crush. So send it over to them, and if they like it, maybe they can subscribe too, I would highly appreciate it. If you send one of my past issues to your crush. So yeah, that is all for now. Thank you for reading /listening,